YouTube, what is going on? Jono here, and welcome to another Tech Toys review brought to you by the Elder Trolls Gaming Podcast, of course. We are three brothers who grew up gaming, and we get together and we talk about all things gaming, tech, TV, movies, and whatever else comes up. Now, do you have problems with stick drift on your controller?
Drift? What do you mean, drift?
Are you hard on your joystick? Then we have something that might interest you here, because stick drift is a thing of the past with this controller. So stay with me and let's go check it out. This is the 8Bitdo Ultimate Bluetooth controller, but it ain't just Bluetooth, it also uses 2.4 gigahertz wireless. Since it uses both Bluetooth and wireless technologies, it will work with Windows, Steam Deck, Switch, Android, and pretty much everything except for Xbox and PS5. The controller retails for about $69 US, which isn't really that bad at all when you consider what you get. So what makes this controller a bit unique is that it is immune to stick drift. How is it immune, you say?
Well, it's because the joysticks use what are called Hall sensors rather than typical potentiometers.
Oh, okay. Like, what the hell does that mean? Well, like I said, typical joysticks use a potentiometer. There are two in each joystick. One measures left and right movement, and one will measure up and down movement. Think of a potentiometer like a windshield wiper blade in the middle of a windshield. As you move the stick, the tiny wiper blade swings in whatever direction and wipes against a resistive pad. Depending on where it's positioned on that pad, it changes the signal that's sent to the controller. And as you can guess, just like the windshield on that old Honda, potentiometers can get dirty and hit with rocks and get hit by birds, and the wiper blade and resistive pad can become worn out, which causes the signal to become degraded or irregular, which causes stick drift. Well, this ain't your grandmother's windshield. This controller uses Hall sensors, and Hall sensors use magnets and magnetic fields to measure the movement of the sticks. There's no parts that are physically rubbing against each other that will wear out, hence why it's immune to stick drift. For a Hall sensor to wear out, it would take the magnets to lose or change their magnetism, which the chances of happening are way less than a potentiometer wearing out. It would actually take some exposure to extreme temperatures or electromagnetic interference of some kind for that to happen. Another great thing about these Hall sensors is the very small dead zone. Potentiometer joysticks need a larger dead zone to compensate for wear. Even in a brand new controller, you can still get stick drift if you turn the dead zone in a game or the settings to 0. You may still even notice a little bit of stick drift on a brand new controller. Hall sensors are pretty much smack dab diddly dogged on center, and you can put that dead zone setting to 0%, and you will enjoy very fine aiming precision without the stick drift. I've been using this controller a lot in FPS games lately. And if you're not new to the channel, then you know I like my Apex Legends. I'm a mouse and keyboard main, okay? But I like to tickle the sticks and let aim assist just take over once in a while, you know? And I really like the feel of these joysticks. In my opinion, this is a really good controller for players who play on like a linear or flat response curve, because when you turn that dead zone off or turn it to 0, you just get such a fine aiming precision because of these Hall sensors. The design is pretty typical for an Xbox style controller, which I am a fan of. It doesn't feel too cheap or light either, like my Power A Switch controller does. This has a bit of heft to it. It has textured, grippy handles on the back, which I like to see. It isn't rubbery, but it's more of like a textured plastic. It has 2 back buttons, which for me, back buttons are a must. I actually would prefer 4. I cannot stand my thumbs being off the joysticks, pressing face buttons when I have to move or aim or turn the camera. I don't play that claw shit. Now, my previous controller was a Razer Wolverine Tournament Edition, which has 4 back buttons and 2 extra shoulder buttons. So that's a lot of button options, and I never had to take my thumbs off the sticks with this bad boy. It was definitely a bit of an adjustment moving to the 8Bitdo, and I've had to kind of think of ways to work around it. So if you're someone who absolutely needs those 4 back buttons, this may not be for you. The controller didn't come with swappable joysticks, which would have been nice because I use a taller joystick on the one side. But for the price, I'm not going to expect this to come with all the bells and whistles of a pro controller. I just slapped a little control freak on there. You can see that. And that's enough for me. There are also no adjustable triggers to shorten the travel of the triggers, which isn't a huge deal because in the software, you can shorten the dead zone to 0, so they engage instantly anyway. Speaking of the software, there's a software you can download for this controller. It allows all buttons to be completely remappable to any other buttons, which is really cool. You can change the dead zone of the triggers, like I said. You can change the dead zone of the joystick. You can also change the outer limit of the joystick. You can make it smaller or larger. You can adjust the vibration. You can even record custom macros. Then you can save your profile in up to 3 different slots for both Windows and Switch. There's a separate application for updating device firmware for both the controller and the wireless dongle. Actually, the software updates the firmware for all 8Bitdo products. So you download that, plug it in, and you can just update the firmware. I did have a bit of an issue getting Windows to recognize the controller at first. I had to update the firmware, then hold down L1 and R1 and the home button at the same time to reset the controller. Then it connected and Windows recognized it. A bit weird, but just an FYI. And that's pretty much it for this review. I highly recommend this controller actually, especially for anyone who's tired of stick drift, who's constantly losing controllers to stick drift. Obviously, this would be a great controller for you. But also for people who hate dead zones. Like I hate dead zones and I need to have that fine precision on my sticks. But if you're someone who's looking for the more pro features like customizable trigger travel or joystick lengths or, you know, extra back buttons, then maybe it isn't for you. I will say I really hope that more manufacturers start using the Hall sensors in their joysticks because it's just superior in every way. I mean, the fine aim, precision, the durability, it's just better. And they're really not that much more expensive, as you can tell. It's a $70 controller. It's really a no-brainer. So if you like this video, if you like the content, the tech reviews, let us know in the comments. Let us know if you've tried the Hall sensors, if you use back buttons. I'd like to know if people use back buttons or if they plain claw. Consider subscribing if you want to stay tuned for more. We'll hopefully be bringing more of these tech toy reviews. Also, check out the Elder Trolls Gaming podcast, and ciao for now.